We're live. Yeah, just the usual, we call them AMAs. Yeah, ask me anything sessions. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes the legal guy comes up. Sometimes, someone who's curious like you decides to stop by and say hi. So it's really for the ladies to have the opportunity to ask whatever questions they have, so that they don't get stopped by unresolved issues. Well, yeah. Today, of course, the topic is Malta plus startups, but it doesn't mean that we can't, go into something else. Yeah. So, Gabriella, feel free, ask away.
Okay. So the first question, I think, Matt, what I'd like to know is, I know obviously Jay from Young Enterprise when I was back at school, and all of that, but for someone like me who somehow didn't get through that path, is there any other way we can redeem ourselves, so to speak, and are there any programs, particularly for female entrepreneurs, especially in Malta with very low rates of female entrepreneurship at large?
So in terms of programs for entrepreneurs in Malta, luckily enough, things are improving. So from our end, what we usually cater is for people under 30, because obviously it's young enterprise, junior achievement. So we focus a lot on the under 30s. What we're trying to do is also create what I'm calling a pre-accelerator program, where we help people brush up on their market research, on their financials, on their pitch, on their documentation, to be able to enter into an accelerator, be it Pichora, be it Female Switch, be it funding from Malta Enterprise. So whatever it is, you kind of get some additional support. In terms of helping entrepreneurs in general, I think what I'm seeing is that a lot of organizations from the Big Four, law firms, are offering some services for startups in terms of feasibility studies, in terms of business planning, bouncing off ideas. Those players are starting to offer some services. When it comes to skills, building up skills, in my opinion, when you're talking about entrepreneurship, a lot of it is in not innate, but it has to be in you, that you research, that you look around, that you find out things. Online, there's a lot of resources which you can take on. In terms of courses specifically, I know there's a couple of master's programs at university as part of SEBI, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Business Incubator. There's also a master's in innovation, in entrepreneurship and creativity at the Edward de Bono Institute. So it would always depend on what kind of information or skill sets you're trying to get. Is it an academic type and theory / tools, or are you looking more on hands-on support on, I don't know, how to open a bank account, how to fill in tax returns, how to come up with a pitch or a business plan, what should be in a business plan. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve to find resources accordingly. I don't know if that answered your question, but feel free to clarify a bit more and I can give you some more pointers.
Okay, actually, if you could also share with us via Violetta, perhaps, also the organizations, like you mentioned, the Big Four, and they're offering services for entrepreneurship. I think those would be really useful, because unless you're not really in that kind of circle, it's very difficult. I don't really see large-scale marketing for this kind of stuff, and perhaps those are courses and material that we could use further down the line. So that would be super helpful, I think.
Yes, typically they don't really advertise it that much. I don't know why. But basically, it's you kind of speak to them and try to get them on seeing the value of your idea, and they will need to support. So if you have something in particular, do get in touch, and I can try and find some individual that would be interested in your idea. But I can share some names of companies that I know have done it. So in some cases, it's not a structured program, but but I don't know, a partner would like the idea and would offer you some hours pro bono. So it's a bit sort of semi-structured work. But yes, I can share some context of who I know previously did it, and that they're willing to do it.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Well, we have Daisy who joined, and there's someone with the account of J Malta. Someone is
My colleagues, bro.
they're spying on you.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's Liz. That's Liz. I saw her.
So Gabriela, if you have any other questions, or Daisy, but if you want to also share what your idea working on at the moment or anything, I can try and point you in some direction as to where you're struggling at the moment.
Thank you, Matt. Actually, that's really nice of you. Particularly, I have looked at the masters you were mentioning, because they're both very good programs. But I always struggled because I've already been down the academic path, and you kind of get to a point where you kind of get jaded perhaps a bit with the educational part, and you want something more practical. So this is why I decided to join Female Switch, really, because I get the practice really, and that is what I really want. So that is kind of gapping a bit what those lacunas. In terms of business ideas, there are a couple of ideas I'm contemplating, particularly in relation to something I really love, which is electromobility, and I worked a lot in the past on that. So it's something I'm still putting together, because I have some ideas, but I haven't quite researched them properly or fine-tuned them enough to put me in a confident place to actually talk about it. So I'm still in the harnessing and putting things together.
So for something you said, so in a case like yours, something that you could really work on, and I encourage it, is finding mentors. So finding people who would be able to share, sort of give you, not handhold you or any structured coaching, or I don't particularly promote that, but it's more finding one or two people that you trust, that did it already, that have been through businesses, or they have they have an established business, that they could have regular sessions with you where you bounce off certain ideas, where you say, listen, I'm struggling to find this particular service, and they can point you in the right direction. I really believe in the idea of mentorship. And in your space, there are a couple of people who are quite sort of keen on that field, and would be of interest to you. I do that sometimes with some people, so feel free to get in touch with me again. I always love helping startups. And something else I point out, it's another program. There's Seed Green. The application is closed on the 24th. But it's basically a program trying to promote the inception of ideas for businesses within the climate change remit. So be it mobility, be it waste management, recycling, water management. So that could be something of interest to also check. I know that there's part of it is sessions, training sessions or content sessions, and then it goes into mentorship. And at the end, there's also some prize fund for the top 3. So there are these programs that you could look into and sort of try to get accustomed to searching, where they would offer both funding and some mentorship or sessions that could be of interest to you. Because you make contacts, you find the right people and say, listen, I really liked his lecture or his talk. I like the way he reasoned things out. Let me approach him to if he would accept being a mentor, even if it's not official on a regular basis. But can I steal an hour of your time and you bounce off some ideas? And don't feel scared to share your ideas. You said you're not comfortable enough, whatever. But if you find the right person to trust, and you feel comfortable, share your idea, because it could be in its initial stages. I, for example, would know that you're at initial stages, so I'm not going to judge you or anything. I'm just going to listen to you, maybe point you in the right direction, ask a couple of questions to get you thinking. Not necessarily you answer them there and then, but you take them on board and you start thinking about them. So it's always good to share ideas, even if they're not fully fledged, not yet established, because that's where you learn. If you are set in stone and you say, yes, this is my fantastic idea, I'm going down this path, then it might be actually too late. Or you wasted time beforehand. So I think programs like Female Switch get you motivated and tick some boxes in terms of, yes, I need to do this. Yes, this is something I always thought it's difficult to do, but now that I'm doing it as part of a challenge, I see that, okay, I think I got it. But then also speaking to the right people could help get your ideas fleshed out a bit more.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anything from Daisy? We're basically having a bit of a Q&A. Any queries, any concerns you have, just feel free to share. And where I can, I answer. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll get you the information.
Yeah. Well, usually Daisy has quite a few questions that I try to answer. I don't know if she's there or she's busy with the 7 cats that she currently has. We'll see. Well, meanwhile, I think we can. I have, of course, a lot of. There she is.
I'm stuck in the car because we got stuck in traffic, but I wanted to join anyway. So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
So, hi. I'm in Malta as well, so Maltese as well. Actually, I don't have a proper idea for my own entrepreneurship. It was just I wanted to see how things are if I had to do an entrepreneurship. That's why I joined the game. At the moment, I'm in between careers, kind of, because I was a banker for 28 years. And I decided to take an early retirement and start something on my creative side. I did once go to Business First. Is it Business First? They were very helpful. They gave me a lot of information. Business First, yes. The office in Embry Hill, right? Yeah. They were very helpful. No. They were very helpful. Hello?
Yes. No, Business First are very helpful, especially when it comes to administrative stuff like tax and VAT and registrations, permits. I always had positive feedback from people like you who got in touch with them.
Yes, I was really, really surprised because first I was speaking from a person, she was very knowledgeable of the subject, about how to start your own business. And then she said she could fix me an appointment with the vet people, and they helped me everything out at their offices as well. So the official would come to their office.
Yes.
Not you having to go around Malta. They would come there and you'd have an appointment. It was a very positive experience. I can recommend it to anyone who has an idea in place. With regards to my position, would there be any help if you have like a lot of little ideas and you're not sure which one to follow, kind of?
Okay, so what usually happens in that case? I mean, we can have a chat about it. So what I would suggest in that case is to go through your ideas and try to sort of score them from the level of skill you have in that field, the level of interest in it, because obviously this is hard work. This is something that you'll have ups and downs, a lot of downs as well. So it has to be something you're passionate about, something you're interested about to work in. So rate them on interest and passion about it, on the skills that you think you need. And then if there's a market for it, if it's something which is easy to get into, any barriers to entry, any large investments that you need to make. So kind of start going through your ideas. The official term you could say I do about all of them, but it's more of a personal feel to it rather than technical. Where is your passion? Why are you doing this? Is it something that you're committed, you really want it to happen? And that could be your first starting point. Then yes, there has to be a market opportunity, there has to be a market for it, and which you can easily reach. So then when you start homing down on one or two ideas, you can then make a full sort of exercise on them. I use a lot of the business model canvas. I don't know if it's something you're very aware of, which is a template.
What is it? This model? Yes, I saw it today. I was doing the pitch module, yes.
Excellent, fantastic. So this is things you need to go through. But yes, I think first of all is your passion and your skills that can fit it. Or if you don't have the skills, do you have access to those skills? Is it something you can find co-founders?
To search for the market. It's just setting out questionnaires. How can you search for something not that feasible? Like, can I explain? Much feasible.
Whether there's a market, you're saying? Or basically, you can. Yeah, first of all, you need to identify kind of the problem you're trying to solve and identify who has the problem. So either market research in terms of statistics or any research that you can find. And then, yes, going straight to the field. So in my opinion, a lot of people fail to speak to potential customers very early on. They tend to postpone that. So in my opinion, would be identify the problem you're trying to solve, see how many people have that problem or to what magnitude, and then start speaking to them. You don't need to disclose on a lot of things, but you just need to make sure you're pinpointing the right problem and not the symptom, so that you can go straight to where they would feel most value. And then, yes, potentially market research in terms of surveys, some interviews with people, but even statistics are very important to quantify it, especially identifying what is the current spend on that issue. For example, if we're talking about mobility, how much money do they usually spend on this problem, be it through alternatives or potential competition? So between the number of people and how much they spend, you would be analyzing what's the market potential there.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of work involved, but I think speaking to some key potential customers is critical, because they would give you first-hand experience as to what the problem is, how they think it can be solved, and what they're ready to give up and spend on such a solution. Some interviews there would be very important. Welcome.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
We have a few more ladies that joined. Elizabeth and Amreen. Do you have any questions to Matthew? Anything startup related? Whatever you ask, but we're afraid.
Hi. Nothing
Hi,
for now.
Amreen.
Nothing. Yeah, now I don't have any questions.
All right,
for now.
all right. Elisabetta, do you have anything to ask?
So now, no. But let's see what we will hear next.
But this is the just a conversation. So Matthew is not doing any presentation because he has already done it. It's in the module for startups in Malta. So there's one interview that we did with Matthew, and one that we did with Malta Enterprise. So it's quite a lot of information. So if you're interested in the topic of, particularly what's happening for the startups here on the island, then this is the place that you should go to. But of course, on top of that, Matthew, of course, knows a lot of stuff about entrepreneurship in general. So if there's anything that you wanted to get a perspective on, feel free. If not, then I can, of course, steer the conversation somewhere, because I can talk about this stuff forever.
Yeah, but if you're struggling with something or you have a particular concern, feel free to bounce it off and see if I can answer it.
I think that ladies are shy.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, it's up to you. Do you want to continue the discussion and maybe some questions will pop up, or do you want to call it a day? I can always, of course, walk you through the platform, because you were interested in looking.
Yes,
sure. You could use that opportunity as well.
Anything, to be honest, if I can be of any help to the participants here, I'm more than happy. So even if you want to share any ideas you have, and I can maybe ask some questions myself to get you thinking, or to try and help you with current issues, I'm fine with that. Daisy, I think, raised her hand.
Yeah. Daisy, go ahead.
Hi. Yes, another thing came to mind, because as I realized, well, I knew, but I realized more the time in the game, it involves a lot of work, entrepreneurship, like a 24/7 job. And what is your take on partnership with someone with the same interests? What should you look out for? What should you be careful of?
So being in a team as opposed to individually obviously has the good things and the negative things. So the good things are that you would have complementing skills. So it's important that the people you bring on board, as much as possible, complement your skills. Doesn't mean they have the exact same skills as you do. It's actually complementing them so that they can add more skills. So as I said before, when you're trying to find a possible idea to work on, see what's your passion and what skills you can deliver. And then by doing that, you would have identified what missing skills you lack personally. And you try and find them within other founders. The issues you need to make sure you're clear from the start is the why, is the motivation behind it, as to why you're doing this and why would the founder come on board. Because the first issue you'll encounter is the misalignment of the objective in terms of what you're trying to do with this new endeavor. So making sure that you have the same objectives is critical. Complementing skills, so you know, both of you, the three of you, four of you, know who is doing what and who's responsible for what. So clear roles and responsibilities to avoid anything falling through the cracks or everything passing the buck. So I think you did it, and something you think I'm doing it. So have regular meetups to make sure things are going according to plan. But first of all is the skills and the motivation, the why you're doing this, and what are you trying to achieve. Is it something that because apart from why I'm doing it, it's also what am I trying to achieve? Is this going to be my full-time dedication for the next 5 years, or is it something on the side that I keep doing in line with other full-time? So aligning the way you want to approach this is critical, so that you can work together. It's always good to have another person involved, because again, you can bounce off ideas, more network, more skills. So I will always push for something to be done in 2-3 people. But yes, you will have certain problems of communication, certain misalignment. So for that reason, I would opt maybe for an odd number as well. That you're an odd number rather than 2 people, because 2 people you were always kind of equally going head to head. Being 3 or 5 is good for the odd numbers in terms of conflict in some decision making. I wouldn't say more than 5 for sure, because then you're adding another load of problems to get through things.
I see. Okay. But you mentioned having different set of skills. It's already a challenge to find someone with the same interest and motivation as you, and probably you do end up having the same skills somehow or other. So then in what you're suggesting is you find a third person with different skills, maybe not the same interests, no?
No, I probably the interest has to be quite aligned. It's more the skill set. So for example, if let's say before we mentioned the mobility, let me give that another example, because I'm not sure which field you're from. So a mobility, I could have an interest in solving the pollution caused by mobility, by transport.
Sorry, maybe for example, the project we're doing in the game, I'm partnered with someone with the same interests as me, and we're on the same wavelength, and we talk and we communicate. Although I'm in Malta and she's in Iran, we still manage to talk a lot every day. So it's good in that way. But then, well, our project in the game is to offer lectures or one-to-ones or tutorials to customers who come in with a problem. For example, if someone wants to write up a CV and they've never written up a CV, and quickly they need to write up a CV, they don't need to follow or go through YouTube and Google and everything. They'll just ask us, we find the right person to give them the reply. And for example, if it's a one-to-one, there's per hour rate. If it's a video or a tutorial, it's per lesson.
So what I mean is, so if you're both working on this idea, or 3 of you working on this idea, the complementing skills is that maybe someone is coming from the business world, so they can appreciate cash flow management, planning, marketing side of it. Someone would be keen on the technology side, so they can offer skills in terms of the platform you're using, the way you're handling your IT and the communications for the one-to-one. While the other one could be a salesperson, a business development person that goes out there and gets the experts and gets the customers signed up. So I might have an idea, but I'm a rubbish salesman. I don't know how to sell. So if I were to do something myself, the first thing I would do is get someone who knows how to sell, with the interest and the motivation in what I'm working. Because if this guy is not interested in lecturing and helping people solving problems, he just wants to sell machines, that's obviously misalignment. But I know that without sales, my business won't survive. So the first thing I would do is get someone who's aligned with what I want to do, who sees the value that I'm trying to sell, and will be able to sell it for me. And then I know I need an IT guy, or I need someone who's good at administration. So I look at skills which I lack, so that we can make sure we combine it. So that's what I would say in terms of complementing skills, but common interests, or at least a clear vision of where the solution is going. That is, it may change, but let's change it together. It's important that at any time we are aligned in terms of where we want to go.
Okay. In our case, probably creativity, artistic, marketing, sales, those are covered, but we would need an IT person, probably.
For example, yeah, that's it. Hi,
I was looking into researching, there's something like an interactive whiteboard that they do for lectures, and I couldn't understand exactly what it is.
Physical or online?
Online.
Online, there are a couple of tools now, like Miro, for example, or even Google Meets have a whiteboard integrated with it. So there are quite a number of tools you can use. Even I think Teams, Microsoft Teams also have a whiteboard function in it. So these things are obviously COVID accelerated the development of them, but there are a good number of tools. If you Google it, you can find quite and some of them are free as well. So it's also helpful.
Okay, good.
Intervene a bit of a commercial pause. So Miro is actually our partner.
Exactly. When he mentioned it, I remembered we have it as on the game. Yeah.
Yes, and you can actually get $1,000 worth of credits because you're a participant of Female Switch. There's one condition: you have to kind of already, be a startup. So basically, register your domain, and you're a startup. There's really no
one step at a time. Then.
And also to mention, Daisy, I see that you have a lot of interest in like figuring out how to partner up with someone. Take a look at the startups and team modules in the playbook section. There's a presentation there on 50 questions you should ask your future co-founder. So that will actually point you in the right direction, like what kind of things you need to pay attention to. And I think a few teams have already done that. And
which one is it? The
startups and teams
playbook. Okay.
Yeah, startups and teams playbook. Yeah. There, of course, one of the most important things to take into account is not only discuss the positive things, right? So when someone did their homework, they had a conversation and then they only talked about the good things. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. So I steered them towards thinking about tough things like, okay, did you actually discuss who's going to, I don't know, fire people in your team? Yes. So like also, the tough things, because it's not going to be always, pink and rosy. And this is when the teams break, right? Not when everything goes well. They break when everything goes to hell, and it will multiple times over and over again. So you need to be able, of course, to ideally. So skills is great, but ideally also, with one person loving to do what you hate. This is an ideal situation, because then you don't have to push yourself through doing something that you hate, which you will still have to do in the very beginning, because there's going to be 2-3 of you, so you can't cover everything. But ideally you start looking for someone who loves doing what you hate. If you hate, like Matthew, he is, I don't know if you hate sales or you're just not good at it, but you hate it. Yeah, exactly. So you need to find someone who loves sales, and then that's ideal. And that's also something that I want to mention, because I always talk about this and I've read it in books, of course. Something that you need to look for in a person is learnability. So their ability to quickly learn new things.
Yeah.
Because that's important. Yeah. Right now, you don't have an IT person in your team, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do the IT stuff yourself, right? So you've been
both doing them, trying to learn them anyway.
Prototypes, like Bharat showed us yesterday. You just need a notebook and a pencil. You can already prototype.
Draw it out,
right?
Yeah.
And eventually you use tools like Canva, for example, to create the prototype that is already clickable. So by the time you actually need an IT person to have something built for you, you will be already so far along that once they come, you will be able to explain what it is that you want, because, hey, you've already not only figured out how that's going to look, but you've also hopefully validated it in the market, because you've already talked to people. You've already given some people that prototype to click through and, give their opinion. So there's a lot of things that you can do with the limited skills that you have, as long as you know, what tool to use for what.
Good. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Still no questions from the other ladies. Tatiana, we've asked the others if you have any questions about startups or startups in Malta. I think you are in Malta, right? If I'm not mistaken. today everyone is shy.
Yeah, I'm in Malta. I just was out, because I went to Italy and I was completely out of the game, and I started going back and submitted my first homework. So, slowly getting back on track. I hope there is time still.
You want to ask something about establishing a company in Malta, or are you okay for now?
Yeah, see, I if there was a small overview of how things work, it would be great. But I think for now, a specific question I don't have. But if there was like or maybe a written information of general thing, because for now I don't have a specific question.
All right. So for the general information, you have to go to Skill Lab module on Malta, and there you will have a lot of webinars, and you can even do homework. So there's plenty of things that you can do there. That will pretty much cover the basic things. And after that, of course, if you have questions, feel free to either reach out to Matthew or to me. Well, I would say if no one has any more questions, then we can call it a day. Or, of course, I think Matthew and me will stay, and I will walk him a bit through the platform. And Daisy has another question, all right?
Not exactly a question. I watched the videos you suggested, the webinars, Matthew's and Antoinette, I think. Yeah. For Tatiana, they're very informative. So if you listen to those, it gives you a very good idea of setting up in Malta. So maybe you should listen to those, I think.
Thank you, I will.
And that's what we do with the amount of information online. There's a lot of stuff, of course, about entrepreneurship in Malta, but a lot of it is either outdated or actually done by people who haven't gone through the process of establishing a company here. So we like, of course, to talk to, well, first of all, we put our experience into it because we have established a company in the Netherlands and in Malta. So we've been through the process in both countries, so we can compare what's happening there. And of course, then we like to also involve people who are like doing this at the moment, who have all the latest information, because as you might imagine, these things change very quickly. Even the information about grants or incubators, that changes so rapidly that you need to keep yourself updated. Well, if no one has any more questions, then you have two. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Sir, if you started a business, started right now, what's the first thing that you would do?
If I'm starting a business right now?
Yeah.
So the fact that I got to a stage where I'm starting a business, it means I have identified the objective, the problem I'm trying to solve. I think all businesses should try and solve a problem. So if you think of anything, you need to be solving something to someone. That is where there is a market. There is a market opportunity. So what I would first do is try to a bit of a cost-benefit analysis to see what do I need, what skills, what investment and time or skills, would I need to get to a place where I can start selling. And by analyzing that, I will see whether I have enough resources to get to that point. So I need to make sure I am surviving until the day I start selling, at least. And I need to also make sure that I can shorten the time frame so that I can start selling as early as possible. So I need to see what resources I need, and at what stage can I start selling. It won't be the fully polished product or service that I have, but I have a minimum viable product that I can start going to market, getting feedback from customers, and adjust. So first of all, I make sure I have that base covered. Do I have the right skills? Do I have the resources and money and the time to dedicate to this? Next, I go and say, okay, so then if I have these and I can get to that point, what is the opportunity? How big is the market? can this be scalable for me to make sure I retain me being profitable in order to survive. So if it is scalable and I can replicate it and make it bigger and bigger every time without adding costs, or at least the additional sales, additional growth does not bring equivalent amount of expenses, but I can gain economies of scale, they're called. So if I grow bigger, my cost base does not grow proportionate to that, then I know that the problem is also scalable. So if I know that I can get to there and it's scalable, I know it's something I could explore further. Next step is, how do I accelerate my step? How can I get to my finished product even faster? Do I bring in more investment, more founders with me? Do I go through grant screens? Do I go to any support services that I can accelerate my growth? Because as soon as my idea is out there, I am at risk of someone copying, someone coming into the market, someone who's already there, who's already thinking about it, not necessarily copying me. But if someone were to come into the market and be faster than me, I'm at risk. So I always need to look at, is it doable? Can I do it? Is it scalable? Is there a market? And find ways how to make it faster. That is where I would, how I would approach it. But the first two questions are very critical. Three questions. Is there a problem? Is there something I'm solving? Is there something which I can offer something better to someone? Can I do it? And do I have the resources for me to make it scalable? Those are the three things I would consider in my ideas and in getting out there. Then the rest is implementation. So getting registered, finding the right resources, finding networking, getting customers on board. So that then it falls down to operational and being structured in my approach. But without those three questions having a good answer on those, I will not proceed and I will find some other things to do about it. Is that the kind of answer you had in mind, or do you want more hands-on, like where to register and stuff like that? I'm just in case. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but if you were a solopreneur and you were all on your own, so what would you do?
The same principle applies. So if I'm solo and I need, first of all, consider whether it is something I can do on my own, or should I first find other partners? Do I have the skill sets to do it, or the resources to engage those skills on my payroll or on through services? So either you or the team need to be able to deliver what you're trying to achieve. Because if you don't have the skill sets engaged or part of the team, you will struggle. So that is the first thing I would do. Secondly is look at where I need to establish myself. So is it Malta? Is it somewhere else? Your home country, or you need to find a better territory to operate in, depending on your idea. But before I go into the operations and the implementation, I would focus on me. Do I have the skill set to do it? If not, I need to make sure I have the money to engage it, or find partners to come on board. That is certainly something I would do. The next thing, if it's something I can do on my own, if it's a product that I develop, is look at how to make it scalable. Is it through e-commerce to go out there to the world? Is it shortening the process, the manufacturing process, or the processes to get there, to automate it so that I can make it scalable? Because on my own, one limitation I have is, apart from the skills, but let's say I have the skills, is time. I only have that much time in a day. So how do I make my time more efficient? Do I automate things? Do I reach out and replicate this on a bigger market? So these are the things you would need to factor in the beginning. Anything else?
Yeah, another thing to add, Emerine, something that you can do already in the game. I don't remember if you've done the canvases, but I think not. Sorry?
Yeah, to do. Yes, I have not done. I have not
Yeah,
completed
yes.
the canvas.
That exercise was supposed to get you thinking into that direction, whether you have everything that it takes to pull this off, right? So when you were thinking about in the female switch canvas, the one that we created, whether you are the right person to be doing what it is that you're doing. So it kind of makes you look inside and answer the question, like, why do I want to do this exact thing, right? So what is it that the value that I can personally bring to that? And of course, if you find something there that resonates well, not only with you, but with the people that you're targeting, then yeah, you should probably try to figure out if there's the market for that, right? So if your passion gets aligned with the business opportunity, that's the best. But then, of course, as Matthew says, at some point and very quickly, you will figure out that there's only 24 hours a day and there's only one of you. So two options that you have there: start looking for someone else, or try to figure out how to automate the things that eat up most of your time. Both are possible. And for the automation, of course, it depends on what it is. But for example, the digital marketing part, that you can automate. So anything from social media to newsletters and all of these things, that is possible to automate. If that's going to save you a considerable amount of time, yeah, do it, because that will free up your time to do something else. So it's a trial and error, and it's unique in each case. But yeah, that's also one of the things that we try to do in Female Switch, to give you this these tools and these little tutorials step by step, how to get started from zero in pretty much anything that you need at the very beginning. So yeah, try one of those and see how that works for you. If you think that learning to use a specific tool, which of course is an investment of your time right now, but if that's gonna save you, I don't know, 10x in time, 1 or 2 months down the line, then it's probably worth it. But of course, I remember myself 3 or 4 years ago when I was just, a rookie entrepreneur, and everyone was telling me these things. I was nodding and nodding, but the problem is, unless you actually try implementing that, then everything sounds good in theory, everything makes sense, everything sounds easy and doable, and then you start doing it, and you stumble, and you have these bottlenecks that you couldn't have foreseen, and you figure out a way around that, and that's when you actually start getting these very practical questions. So because for now you're at the stage of just figuring out the general direction, but once you pick it, that's when every little question will pop up, and that's when you need the ongoing support of either the peers that are a bit ahead of you. I think that's ideal. Of course, at some point, an experienced mentor, depending on what kind of bottleneck you have. Right. Enough inspiration for today?
Well, from my end, obviously, you can feel free to share my details if need be, and they can get in touch with me if there are any questions. I'm more than happy to help new entrepreneurs, and hopefully we'll be able to help.
Yep. Definitely. Well, then I'm going to stop recording, not to forget, because it's always something.